So the delegates have spoken. Um, Vice President Kamala Harris won the ceremonial roll call vote to be the Democratic nominee for president. Now, it was only ceremonial because if you remember, 2 weeks ago they had to do a virtual vote, um, a Zoom call vote to nominate her ahead of the convention because of filing deadlines in Ohio and Alabama to make sure she was on the ballot. But as you watch state by state go through and do their roll call, there was a feeling of joy and pride and excitement. And a couple notable ones: Utah. The delegates for Utah thought that there's a chance Utah could become a swing state in the near future. Now, I never thought I'd be saying those words, but the delegate for Utah thinks that it is entirely possible that Utah could be a swing state. Idaho said they have at least a Democratic challenger in every contest for the state. So I'm guessing that's every member of the House and and everything, which is amazing. They don't get Democratic challengers for some of their seats. Florida's the same way. Every contest has a challenger. So those are all big things, and that's driving the joy in everything. Now, there was a couple changes to how they would normally do this roll call vote. Normally, they would go in alphabetical order, but there is a tradition that the states that the vice presidential nominee and the presidential nominee, they normally don't go when it's their turn, and it's they vote when it would be the number that would put their nominee over the line to become the nominee. So at whatever point they would have gotten to, I think it's 1,900 and something delegates, California would have chimed in for Kamala Harris. Well, that didn't happen this time. What happened was Alabama deferred to Delaware. So Delaware went first, even though they would normally go alphabetically, because Joe Biden is from Delaware, and they were honoring Joe Biden for, stepping aside and letting Kamala Harris run. And then when it got to California and Minnesota, they both passed, deferring to the very end. And then Minnesota went second to last. California went last. That way they could nominate or pledge their delegates to the vice presidential nominee and the presidential nominee in kind of a ceremonial thing, going last because they're from those two states. So that's why that was. And the delegates have spoken. Kamala Harris got about 97% of the delegates pledged. The rest were either voted as absent or voting present, they did not vote for a candidate. And if you compare that to Donald Trump at the RNC, he only got about 96% of their delegates. So even though the numbers are different for how many delegates were there at each convention, she did get a bigger percentage of the Democratic vote. Just something else that just shows the difference between there. Like I said, a lot of joy coming out of the DNC for night 2. Can't wait to see the rest of this DNC convention, and am excited for the election going forward.